Still, India is the primary engine for profitability. We don't know how the tariff thing is going to play out. An Indian brand, if it fails, will never be forgiven. We can't sponsor an IPL and to create a name overnight. I'll give you a brief overview of our performance fourth quarter as well as the financial year. Fourth quarter, we had a good strong fourth quarter top line, contributed by pretty much all the geographies. India was very strong, Europe was very strong, Australia was kind of flat, North America was kind of flat, but Middle East, Africa, India, all of them did well. Okay. So that's the top line story. Bottom line was by and large consistent with the top line growth. We had a good bottom line. In the larger interest of accounting prudence, we took some calls on certain old inventory and receivables. So if you exclude that one-time cost, our profitability was very strong in the fourth quarter. For the year, we grew close to 9+% overall. Profitability grew by about 27%, 27%. Again, contributions, India was very strong, okay, and all the other geographies came in quite strongly. But if you really look at ELGi's story, still India is the primary engine, right, for profitability. But revenue-wise, it's half of the global revenue, which is not something that's surprising for us, because if you go and do business in Europe, in America, and in Australia, there are certain overheads that are pretty high. People costs are very high. So as a consequence, it's a long journey to get to the same level of profitability. That's point number one. Point number two, this business, the profitability comes from aftermarket. We don't make too much money selling equipment, right? It is only in the spare parts and service that the profit is made. Now, that revenue from aftermarket is a function of how many machines you have installed in the field, right? So more machines you have, higher is the margin. So for instance, India, we've been here for a long period of time, we have on average 5 times more machines installed than in the rest of the world, right? So as a consequence, our aftermarket revenue is close to 27-28% of our total revenue. Whereas when you take globally, it is only about 12-13%, right? So they are in the global markets are in the nascent stage of growing the aftermarket. But once the installed base gets established in these markets, then that profitability will follow. So overall, I think we are on the right track. Grown well. We could have done a little better in some of the geographies as always, but there's nothing concerning as it is, right? So for next year, we believe that we don't know how the tariff thing is going to play out. There are two aspects to the tariff. One is the tariff as it impacts India and specifically us, and how the tariff will have a global repercussion. Now, as far as India is concerned, in terms of what we sell to our subsidiary in America, we are reasonably confident that tariff will not affect us, right? Today, the tariff is 10%. Now, we have been able to absorb that cost through cost reduction programs that we initiated 3 years ago. We didn't initiate it anticipating tariff. We did that for real purposes, but that is helping us now. For instance, our backward integration into motor production is a significant cost compression. Now, that is coming in handy now. In this year, close to 80-90% of our motors that we consume will be produced by us. So that's a significant shift in our cost structure. That will enable us to handle the tariff. at 10%. Now, earlier he's talked about 26%. Now, 26% we can't handle with a cost reduction, but I'm hoping that it won't be 26. Worst case, assuming America puts the same percentage of tariff for compressors as India puts on compressors coming from America, it is 16.5%.
Okay.
Today, if an American compressor is imported into India, it's 16.5%. So if they reciprocate and say it's 16.5%, we should be fine. Okay. Right? So we should be okay. So I'm not too worried about, assuming it doesn't go to 26, I'm not too worried about the tariff affecting LG. Okay. Tariff affecting India and the economy of India will be significant if there are huge tariffs, because quite a few businesses are dependent on the US market for their volume. So that could get affected. That's a bit of an uncertainty till such time the trade agreements are resolved. The other thing is, what is the rolling global economic impact of tariffs? That will be pretty significant in my opinion, because one, US consumption will go down if the cost of products in America go up.
Yes.
India and America is not going to be able to localize production quick enough, nor in a cost-effective manner. So overall, if that consumption goes down, it's one of the largest consuming markets, there will be a global impact. Now, how that will happen is something that we need to wait and see. But these are the two uncertainties that are looming at us for 25-26. Other than those, we are quite confident that everything is in place. We've got initiatives running to improve our market share. We've got initiatives running for reducing cost. So all that is on a sound wicket. So I'm not too worried about the back-end capability. It's really the macroeconomic uncertainties that we are worried about. But that is like COVID, no?
Correct.
It comes and it goes, so we have to deal with it. Yeah. So that's the summary of our performance.
Dr. Jairam, in 2019 during Hanover Messe, you stated LG's aspiration to become second largest compressor manufacturer globally.
Yeah.
How do you access that program towards that goal today?
Yeah.
Is it still a realistic ambition, or how do you see that
Okay.
goal
No,
happening?
it's a fair question. So current position, we are number 6. Yeah.
Okay.
We were number 6 even during the Hanover show. At that time, number 2 and number 3, Ingersoll Rand and Gardner Denver, were independent companies, right? Now they have come together. So they've become a pretty large number 2. So our goal to be number 2 at that time was at a time frame, 2035-36. Now to go leapfrog beyond a combined number 2 is unrealistic. So our goal will be in the top 3, yeah, not specifically number 2, but top 3 by 35-36, right? The reason why we retaining it, we still calling it CK2, not CK3, because there's no K3, is because internally everyone knows what CK2 is. You go talk to anybody in the company, they'll know what CK2 is. So it's a very powerful message and emotion,
yes.
right? So we wanted to retain it and continue to say, we reframed it by saying top 3 in the world.
Thank you, Dr. Jairam, because my second question was that only because CK2, Conquer K2 was
Yes.
the program.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is, because I also looked at very carefully and it was a new, as a goal, it's a good one. So my second question will be, you have a very strong emphasis, Dr. Jairam, on backward integration. And today I have got the opportunity to visit your plants, and I see, can you let us know about any new, development on that backward integration front?
So Dinesh, the backward integration is not to drive incremental short-term profit opportunity. So I'll explain to you 3 backward integrations or 4 that we have done. One is the first one is to build our own machines, right? Now, why did we do that? Not because we wanted to, get some minor savings. So if you look at a compressor, 30% of the cost of the compressor is the air end, where the 2 rotors and the casting comes in. That's the heart of the machine. Now, all our competitors, and us, we make it in-house. Everyone, all our competitors buy the rest of it from outside, right? So, in order for us to compete, we wanted to be the best in the world, not selling low-priced machines. To make the best compressors and still be attractively priced, we had to use technology as a means, right? Now, 30% cost. Out of that 30%, 90% is the cost of the rotors. In that 90% is the cost of the machining, right? So effectively, what that means is close to 20% of the cost of the compressor is the cost of that machine. Yeah? Now, how to reduce that? There are only 2 or 3 manufacturers in the world. Everyone buys from them, right? So when we studied that machine, we found there is a way to use our talent to design and make it locally, right? So what we have done is we have made that machine at 1/5 the cost, right? Now, which means instead of 20%, we are now 4%,
Yes.
right? So these are very strategic reasons, not for incremental cost opportunities, because we have to reduce cost to deliver, at the same time deliver quality, right? Now, if we had bought some Chinese machines or some other machines to make these rotors, we'd have diluted our performance.
Yes.
So we had to maintain that. So that's one example. We make our own pressure vessels, the tanks. Why? European brand can fail and it'll be forgiven, right? An Indian brand, if it fails, will never be forgiven, especially if it is a safety-related item.
Yes.
And a pressure vessel is related to safety. So we couldn't afford to take a risk of outsourcing it or buying it from someone. So even though it's not a high-value product, it's basically metal forming. It's no great technology, but we have employed technology like robots and stuff like that in making it. So that's another reason, right? You saw the foundry.
Yes.
Our foundry is a white elephant, right? It doesn't earn us any money, right? And the reason, knowing this, we invested because quality of the casting is very critical, right? So we can't have leaks, right? So that is the thing. Motor is because we were buying motors from China last 20 years. 20 years, their landed price compared to motors made in India, 30 to 50% lower after freight and duty. And the quality was better than the local motors, right?
Yes.
So we were surprised. So when we opened the motors, stripped them, a motor is basically metal. There is nothing great. There's no big electronics inside. It's copper, steel, casting. And we took the weight of the parts and we looked at it internationally. There is absolutely no way they could have supplied at that price.
Okay.
Which means there is some subsidy flowing through, which we don't know, from the government. Now that's a risk. We don't know at what point they will withdraw that. So we'll be left. So we said, okay, this is a risk for us. Plus lead times were 3 months. So that much inventory was here. Can we put a team together? Let us evaluate whether we can use technology, not cheap Indians,
Yes.
technology to make the product perform better and worst case, same cost as the Chinese. So the team did an outstanding job. It took us 3 years. We built a set of motors at or lower cost, but much better performance.
Correct.
Right? So we tested it in the market, we ran it, and when we said, okay, now we are very confident, we invested in that. Right? Today, we have expanded that range of motors. So like I said, 80-90% this year will be our own motors. So the reason is, again, that risk reduction, not so much to reduce cost. Cost reduction became a additional side benefit, but the main thing was the supply risk. So, is there anything that is pending now in terms of, whether we need to do backward integration? No. But having said that, there is compressors and there are adjacencies, dryers, those kinds of things. So we have developed and launched our own refrigeration dryers, right? Our own range globally, right? We will look at desiccant dryers. So those are horizontal movements.
Dr. Jairam, technology plays a very important role these days.
Absolutely.
And since ELGi is an Indian company catering global markets, you are very well present in many countries. So, how do you see technology changing, and what sort of adoption you are doing in your plant?
Yeah.
Can you let our audience know?
Sure. So technology, the core technology in compressors has not changed in a long time, right? It is just the add-ons like electronics, software, communication, the IoT systems. These are all the innovations that have come on it, which we also have. What we are doing in our innovation organization is fundamentally questioning the basics of the technology, right? So what we launched as what we call the stabilizer is at a fundamental level, right? It is not one of those add-ons that we brought in. Similar to that, we have quite a few in the pipeline. I'm not able to talk about it now. At the appropriate time, we'll talk. But that is our goal. One is product development, which is to embed the latest in technologies that are already available. The other is innovation, which is to really build the next, right? So that's a big emphasis for us.
And people are talking about sustainability, ESG goal, and I've been to your plant. A lot of new initiative I have seen, where wastage is minimized. We have taken care of climate. So can you let our audience know more about the initiative which you have taken?
So, first of all, our power consumption in our revenue is very, very small, right? So to start with, we have a very low carbon footprint. Okay. Right? Even then, I think it's about 2% odd. Even that we believe there is an opportunity to make it completely green. Today, close to, I think if I'm not mistaken, 50% of our manufacturing electricity comes from renewables, both wind and solar. Our goal is in the next maybe 4-5 years, we should be 100% on renewable energy, which is easy to do. Like I said, our energy consumption is very low. The second big initiative for us is water, right? We want to make sure that, one, we don't touch the ground for water, right? And secondly, we don't get outside supply of water, to see how much of water we can, with rainwater harvesting as well as recycling of water, we will try and see how best we can be 100% self-sufficient. So these are the two initiatives as far as the inside the plant is concerned. Outside the plant, on our local vendors, right, we are switched over, I don't know what percentage we've switched over. Local supplies are all electric or gas vehicles. The shipment vehicles are all electric or gas. Eventually, the local supply, we will make it 100% low, emission fuels, right? In our compressor design, the primary goal is energy consumption reduction, right? So stabilizer is one way to cut the overall customer's energy cost. Plus, we are working on multiple initiatives to make the compressor less heavy on the environment, right? So these are all the things that we are working on.
Okay, time is short. I want to merge two questions. One is the security part, the safety and security of the plant and the employee, and the second one is women empowerment. Because I was visiting your plants and I've seen a lot of women actively working. So one, what sort of steps you have taken in your facility for the safety? Secondly, a little bit on the women empowerment. What that.
So safety is a big priority for us. One is the company's policy on safety and practices on safety, but more important is the individual employees of consciousness of safety, because at the end of the day, I am responsible for my safety, right? And if there is an unsafe environment, I need to alert it. So getting our people to become very sensitive to safety thing is a very big initiative. So we have an app through which people can record, near misses and unsafe workplaces. We also have an anonymous whistleblower app where people can log in and say, hey, this is an unsafe practice and it's not changing in spite of me telling. So we try to collect feedback from people and again work on it very aggressively so that it sensitizes people to creating a more safe environment. As far as women are concerned, I think we are committed to ensuring gender diversity. It's diversity in overall, but gender diversity specifically. As a mechanical engineering company, it's very difficult to get women to come and work because the environment is very different. So on the shop floor, we run our vocational training school. I don't know whether you saw, I had a chance to see it.
Floor.
Yeah, second floor. We started that almost 7-8 years ago. The first batch, we couldn't get even one girl to come and attend. It's after 3 batches when they started hearing about it, then the girls started applying. And even then, they applied only when their parents moved from the village to Coimbatore, along with with their daughters. Otherwise, it's like, where is my daughter going? Some factory, machines are there, all those perceptions. Now, close to, I think, 35-40% of our batch is girls. So, they come in and they take over all the retiring employees who are all male, right? So I think in the next probably 3 to 4 years' time, on the shop floor, we'll have close to 30-35% women on the shop floor.
And from being a strong Indian brand, to become a respectable global player, according to you, what is the mantra for success for ELGi in India and globally?
Well, I think, for us, the brand is what it is. The brand strength builds over time. We are not like we can't sponsor an IPL and, to create a name overnight.
Correct.
Ours is a experience-based brand building, So that happens, right? But more important is what is the experience when somebody touches us, right? Whether it's a customer or an employee or a supplier, what is their experience, right? Is it fair? And if it's a good experience, a sensitive experience, it's a quick experience, then that's what it is. But in our business, because we are very mechanical, capital goods, it takes a long time to build it. We're not a consumer product.
A lot of takeaways for me, Dr. Jairam. My last question, because everybody talks about startup, and it's very difficult to build a startup in manufacturing. So what are the advice, or because since you have built brands, you have reached out to global audience. So what will be your advice to young people coming out of IIT, IIM, who want to build something in manufacturing? What are the key steps they should look to build a strong Indian brand?
Yeah. Well, one thing that they should not do is copy another product, right? Then, if you're copying another product, then you have to sell it cheap, correct? And if you have to sell it cheap, then you have to be cheap, correct? Then that goes against the purpose of why you want to go to work. You want to earn more. If you want to earn more, then you need to innovate, right? Now, where does the innovation come from? It comes from identifying the customer's unstated want, yeah? Where the customer is unable to say something, this is what I want, right? So identifying that and building the innovation around it, that's really where the real shift will take place.
Thank you, Dr. Jairam, and thank you for hosting us.
Thank you for coming, Dinesh. Thank you very much.
Sir.
Thank you very much.